Yo, it's the Miggity Mac Daddy, Crowie, coming to you live and in person through the ether. And I come to you live wherever you are, whether you're driving, riding, skateboarding, whatever you're doing. Just give yourself a little shout out, give yourself a little nod, give yourself a little, I'm on the right track, give yourself a little shakety shake, and just be like, you're in it to win it, baby. I am in it to win it, baby. All right, I'm going to talk today about growing pains. I'm not sure if that was a 90s sitcom, but it doesn't just feel like it. It feels like Family Matters. Remember Urkel from Family Matters? Does anyone remember Full House with John Stamos, the sexiest man alive? Am I right? John Stamos, what a guy. I always thought it was Stamos, but it's apparently Stamos. Anyway, Growing Pains. Is it a TV show? Who cares? We're talking about growing pains when you're growing the business and sort of that common problem you can expect just throughout the journey. We'll get to a bunch of the journeys today, but just talking about what to look out for. And certain times of your business the pants don't fit anymore. You're like that awkward teenager that's wearing those 3/4 pants because you haven't realized you grew 200 mil overnight. If you've ever woken your child up or dressed your child and been like, oh my gosh, these pants used to fit and they don't fit now. These are like 3/4 chinos, or these are super tights. Or if you've ever been to Italy and just had heaps of gelato, the chocolate gelato over there is insane. Shout out to Frankie's in Byron. They do the sickest chocolate ice cream. Like, my goodness. Get in there. Anyway, growing pains. So generally speaking, you just doing a good job is enough to grow a business. Just getting back to people, and when you first start, you're so good at getting back to people, and nothing's a problem. So it's like when you first start and you've got nothing, if you're fresh face, starting a business and you got nothing on the horizon for tomorrow or the next day, and someone's like, when can you do this? And you're like, I can do it tomorrow. You're super keen, super frothing, and just like chomping at the bit to get moving. You haven't quite figured out your prices yet, and you're quite insecure to price more than likely, and you're saying, oh, I think that's $200 and that's $1,000, and I guess that's where we really help businesses set and get their foundational pricing structure sorted. And it's one thing, I see this in the calculators we build all the time. One's called the Beast-O-Mator. I just think it's the sickest calculator. But you see it in the calculators all the time. It's like when you see your figures in the calculator and you see what you need to charge, and make no mistake, there's a range. Like, there's no right for every single company, but there's a predictable range that you'll sort of land in. And that's going to be in that 95 to 115 for an 8-hour rate tradie. And that's going to be in the $60 to $70 or $55 to $70 range for the apprentice. So around that 165 to 185 team rate. And if you're running more tradie heavy, it can dramatically affect that. But we're not here to talk about that right now. We're here to talk about growing pains. And it's like, when you first start a business and you're just like, nothing's a problem and every client's awesome, and every time your phone rings, it's ordained and distributed directly by the trade gods, and you're like, oh my gosh, how good are the trade gods? And you're just absolutely high on life. And what's going to happen is and you see this all the time, you see people grow the business because they're good at their job. And not only are they good at their job, but they care because it's their business, and they're getting back, and their quotes are on time, and the quotes are organized, and it's neat and tidy, and the job's getting done awesome every single time because they're on the tools. And what happens when you eat food at a good restaurant? What happens when you drink a good coffee somewhere? What happens when you go to a town and you're like, you gotta try the lobster, man. The lobster, Scarlet, it's amazing. When people are doing a good job in any industry, more than likely you tell someone. And when someone comes past and sees a good job, maybe the shirt you're wearing is amazing, and someone's like, where'd you get that shirt from? And you're like, oh, I got it from this place. So it's like when people see a good product, or when people have a good experience with a good product, chances are they tell people, oh, that was awesome. I saw that work they did. That was really good. How did they get that cable down there? And you're like, oh, it's 90% the tongue and 100% me, baby. Yeah. What about those days you have where we're just throwing the tongue around, and not your actual tongue, That's super weird. But if you're throwing the yellow tongue around and it's just popping out, you know those times you just throw it on a whim and it just pops out the hole, and you're like, yeah, baby. What about when you see someone using a tongue and you're like, let it go, give it to me, I can do it, I can do it. Yes, Zach. I'm a big believer you've got to have a floppy tongue and a bit of a hard tongue, and there's no innuendo there. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. Like, I'm a big believer you've got to have both in your repertoire, right? In the bazooka, as you would say, in the top. But growing the business, your chances are awesome at your job. Chances are you're awesome at your job, and you're sort of you see it all the time, and I'm going to reference a couple of things here. I'm going to first talk about cost plus jobs, and I know what you're thinking, oh, you could solve this on a price book, and I want to tell you to shut up, because not everything is applicable on a, sorry, I sounded so mean. I want to tell you to shut your face. I'm a massive believer that not everything can be done on a price book, not everything can be done on cost plus, and not everything can be done on cost estimation, but you've got to dabble across the three. If you think you can only roll one way, chances are you'll be pretty shocked moving into the future, or you're at a certain stage or size of business where you think that I just want to encourage you, like, you've got to be, if you're making money and you're moving product, and there's benefits to cost plus work. We've got a really good podcast on the benefits of cost plus work. And there's some downsides to it, of course, too. But let's just say you're on cost plus and you've got a decent size renovation, and the builder or owner is paying you happily, and you've got some staff members under you. Now, you're the boss, you're the big dog, you're the big woofity woof man or woman, and chances are you're awesome, and everything's happened really efficiently because you booked something in for the next 3 days, and you're going on, you're delegating, and everything's neat, everything's tidy, nothing's forgotten, and the work's happening at a high speed. And that's what you find when people are building their businesses and they're still on the tools. More than likely you're awesome. And just take a moment to lock eyes with yourself in the mirror, or give yourself a little head nod and be like, you know who's awesome? Me. You know who's great at their job? Me. And that's probably why you started the business, because you're great at your job, you're a great Sparky, and that's whatever. It's fair enough. Here you are, and let's continue on. But what's going to happen is you are awesome and you are quick. And now if the client has had an experience of you before, there'll be a level of expectation of speed, or a level of acclimatization to not just speed and how long something takes, but also to energy levels, to how you talk, to how you communicate, to if something's different, to like if you're flagging something before it becomes an issue, to everything being in the right spot. They're acclimatized to excellence because chances are, hopefully, you are excellent. And what can happen if your clients had an experience of you, and all of a sudden, the classic case of growing the business, Betty tells Susie, tells Jimmy, tells Dave, and Dave's like, you've got to use these guys, they're awesome, and Dave starts using you on this large job, and you're like, I need to hire, so you hire a couple of people, and you're a bit disorganized, so you chuck anyone in the mix, and someone's in the mix, and you probably start sending people to jobs you shouldn't send them to because you have no choice, because you're really busy and you promised Dave you'd be there tomorrow. So Dave gets, let's just pick on Brett. Let's just call him Brett Cameron. That's one of my best mates, actually, childhood besties, but let's just call him Brett. And then let's just say that Brett's not you, and Brett starts running the job, Brett starts doing the job. And if the client's used to your level of experience, and it's not just, if it's cost plus, it's kind of cooked, because they're expecting something to take so long, and they've seen you do it, and they know how long things take. Now they're watching Brett do it, they're like, this guy kind of sucks. So if you're not careful, you can throw yourself under the bus. You're awesome, and Brett's okay. And this is why it's so important to hire good and quality people. And this is why it's so important if you're growing the business, I'm a big believer you've got to wean yourself off these jobs. The best way to handle having someone like, say, Brett on board is you start the first day. If it's a 5-day job, you start the first day with Brett. You give them expectations about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You lay those expectations out to the client. The client's like, cool, that's all good. And that's a cost plus example, and you make sure that Brett knows the scope and not the scope. Or if it's quoted, now here's the danger with quoted stuff. If you built your business off quoting, chances are your price and your expectation level and your experience has been that this is a 5-day job. But if you're not careful, Brett's going to do it in 7 days, in 8 days, because he's not you, or the tradie, the female tradie you got, that she's not you. People aren't you, and it's okay not to be you because you are the only you. And it's like, so you've got to change your price book, or change your pre-build, or change your expectation level, or change your cost estimation, or change your quotation. You've got to start to adapt to other people's ability. And you've all heard the rule, like, or people can do it to 80% of the level that you can do it. And this is where the process guides the people. So a growing pain can be the job's not getting done as quick as what it is for you. The job's not getting done profitably now. And if you were just scraping by at 100% repetitively, like, it's okay. Think about this, and I just picked the $100 an hour. Of $100 an hour, if that's what, if let's say charging 100 because it's very easy math, and your wage is $45 an hour. So 45 plus super is 50. Your cost of operations is 30, and business profit is 20. That's basically the percentages you'll be working off: 50, 30, 20. Now, when you're on the tools, you're keeping the wage component of that 50, 45 plus super. You're losing the cost of operations, the 30, and you're keeping the 20, the business profit, and you're getting some, usually about $10 an hour on material. So you're keeping the 50 wage, the 20 business profit, and the 10 material. So if you're on the tools, that's 50 plus 20 plus 10, that's $80 an hour, essentially you're making. Now, if you're paying Brett to do that, you're losing Brett's 45 plus super, 50. You're losing Brett's 30 cost operations, and you're making 20 plus the 10 off materials, you're making 30. So what you can do if you're not careful, if you're on the tools and you're working hard, you can really mask, or you can really cover up, accidentally, of course. And then this is why you see people step back from the tools. They step back too early, because you got to think, if you're making $30 an hour on other people, and it's 80 off you, then that's almost 3 people to replace you. So that's the sort of math you're looking at. And if you're not careful, and I spoke to someone yesterday, and they got like 2 tradies and apprentice, and they go, I'm off the tools now. And it's like, that's cooked numbers wise. Like, you can't do that. I already can tell you that there's no money in the company, and I can already tell you you're going backwards. And this is why you're going to sit at the pub as a disgruntled 43-year-old going like, oh, I tried that before, there's no money. And yeah, we had staff and it sucked. It sucked, just to call it out. It sucked because you're probably a really, really, really good Sparky, and you're probably not a great business owner or operator. And that's okay, but you need education around the space, and knowledge is confidence, and confidence is everything. And if you're not careful, growing pains can actually be a death sentence. It can actually be a means to an end. And all of a sudden, and let's just take these numbers as the numbers you can move when you're 100% efficient are amazing. And when I say 100% efficient, I mean you're getting the billable hours in. You're getting 40 hours. You're paying your staff 40 hours a week, and you're charging out 40 hours a week. The numbers you can move when you're efficient are amazing. The numbers you can move when you're inefficient are terrible. Might as well, you'd be better off working on wages for someone. And then the numbers you can mask when you're on the tool still are also crazy. So I just want to highlight to everyone, as you grow the business, you're going to encounter ceilings at a lot of levels. The first ceiling you encounter is going to be you need to hire a tradie because you've hit a ceiling of hours and you're not getting back to people. And if you heard the podcast I did on the problem with busy, you'll know that busy should be an indicator that we might need to hire. Busy might be an indicator that, hey, we need to hire an admin or a field staff member, because we can't keep up with the demand that's getting thrown at us, with the demand that's coming at us. And that's how you have to see busy. But the problem with growing, the ceilings you hit are first a field staff member, apprentice or tradie. Second, you're going to hit probably field staff again. Then you're going to want to hand some stuff over to administration person, and it's going to ebb and flow based upon, I've got a really cool calculator that predicts how many field hours, how many admin hours you should have for how many field hours. And I know that changes depending on if you're heavy on the service and maintenance or heavy on the project. It does change, but a lot of the project stuff, while it might not have the day-to-day admin for an administration assistant, it's usually got an administration level for the business owner or project manager that's quoting it, because the quote takes 2 to 4 weeks to do, and there's lots of variations and lots of sort of management on site to sort of get the transition between office and everything. Make no mistake, everything you're doing is has to have a very clean office to site transition. And this is why we're big believers in the one team, one dream, because it's like basically the site people can't do their job without the office people, and the office people can't do their job without the site people. So anytime you see a big disconnect between the admin people and the site, oh man, like Susie keeps calling me for my hours, I can't believe it. Or Susie's like, Jaden didn't put his hours in again, like that guy's a dickhead. And it's like, okay, sweet, let's bring them all in for a staff meeting. Let's involve everyone in the staff meeting. Let's have the one team, one dream philosophy where we're all in this together. If the phone's not answered, the job's not booked in, and the job's not quoted, there's nothing to do. But if there's no on-site work to do, there's no job for the admin people. So there's no one working. So it's like the two need to the two should complement each other. We're all in this together, and without you, there's no me, and without me, there's no you. So I really want to encourage everyone, bring your teams together. And if there's any animosity or like disunity between the two, then ask yourself why. And sometimes, as a site person, it's so easy to critique. I mean, like, flash back to when you were and I guess this is Growing Pains 101, like when you were a third year apprentice and you thought you were God's gift to the electrical world, what did you think about your boss? You probably thought that they were making heaps of money and that they were, I don't even do anything. I do everything. They don't even do anything. It's like kind of, and you look back as the boss and you're like, wow, that was so naive. That was so immature. That was so disrespectful. That was like really, really dumb thinking of me to sort of think like that. And that's why I was a big believer that you've got to let your staff into what you're going through. You've got to let your staff into what you do. And you want to share so much but not too much, and too much but not so much. Would you tell them you're going surfing today at midday? Maybe some people you would, maybe you wouldn't. So you don't want to overshare, but you don't want to be underappreciated, and you don't want people just creating that division between the site and the field. So in your growing pains, you're going to encounter essentially what you're going to encounter. And if you've found or got an excellent staff member, you would know how rare they are. Like, I'm talking an excellent staff member who's just ripping and tearing through rough-ins, who's at a high level of motivation, who's more great than good, like that kind of. You gotta hold on to those people. They are worth their weight in gold. And if like most, think about a team of 13. You can probably have 3 superstars, 5 or 6 good to great people, and 5 or 6, I don't even know how many math that is. 13 and 5 or 6, average to good people. And I guess your job as a business owner is to make average good, good, great, and great excellent. And how you do that and how you grow your business and grow your business well is with systems and processes. And when I say a system and process, it's like rough-in checklists and fit-off checklists and non-negotiables for the week. So I'll get my billable hours in every single week. I'll get my invoices every single week. I'll get my variations every single week. I'm not going to walk past any conversations this week. I'm going to make sure that I chase up 5 to 10 leads this week. I'm going to get back to everyone this week. I'm going to get my quotes back this week. It's about having a set of standards that you live by, and a standards that's like, you need to have standards and you need to have non-negotiables. You need to have standards. You need to know what you stand for. And what do you stand for as a business owner? And a system and process can basically be almost like the manifestation of you in a document. Hey, this is what I expect. This is how I expect every job to finish and be treated. This is how I expect the variation pathway. Hey, this is how I expect the rough-in to be completed. Here's your checklist. This is how I expect the fit-off to be completed. Here's your checklist. A process will, like, it's getting everything out of your head into a document, and you can build some fantastic documents on some fantastic platforms. So that's how you grow and grow well. And you grow, let math guide your decisions, let the numbers guide your decisions, let the process guide the people. And like we all know, you're going to be good with people, you're going to be good with numbers, and you're going to be good with process. If you can handle those 3 things and those 3 things well, you will do some great things in business. So I want to encourage you as you grow your business. It gets lonely, it gets scary, it gets like it gets hard. Let's face it, it gets real difficult at times. And I guess that's what we're trying to provide at Sparky Coach, is a community of like-minded people in a safe place with no dickheads. Our almost mantra is to provide direction and accountability. So direction in terms of, hey, here's where you're at, here's where you could be, do these steps, and accountability, in other words, like, hey, why is that not done? And that's what you need. You need direction, you need accountability, and we're big believers that you can do that in a group and one-on-one session, or like either or, depending on what stage of business you're at. So we're kind of flexible to suit both. So I'd encourage you, please reach out if you need any help or need a hand navigating, especially the numbers side of things. I love the numbers side of things. I'd love to see your numbers. That's not weird. It sounds a bit weird, but I'd love to see your numbers, and yeah, hopefully you're doing some good things. So I'd encourage you, just be in the growth. Don't neglect process. In the growth, don't neglect numbers, and in the growth, don't neglect people. Make sure you're getting back to people, and make sure you got those foundational stuff that got your business flowing in the first place. Getting back to people, quotes on time, honest communication, weekly invoices. Get back to that point, and you'll do some awesome things. So thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.